What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. I'm your host, Thizzle Speaks, here on behalf of Brendan Boyd, and I'm so excited today. We got Dr. T-Mac in the building. She is the mastermind behind T-Mac Inspired and the modern day mogul, modern day matriarch. Modern day matriarch. Like, you are a mogul too, but modern day matriarch. And so I'm excited to talk to her today about money mindset and real estate investing and how she does all of these things phenomenally. And she has a huge family. So I'm super excited to have this conversation. Welcome to the show. How you doing this morning? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell the community, give us a story, your background, your story, where you from and how you got into this space.
Yes. So I am Dr. T-Mac, AKA the modern day matriarch. My husband and I have a blended family. We have 7 children and 6 grandchildren. And we just love living life, helping to create a legacy for our family. I'm big on that. So, being able to do that by helping other women, coaching them in real estate and in their businesses and teaching them how to just broaden the horizon and make a lot of money and multiply this money and manage this money. I'm all things money, honey.
I love it. I love it. I mean, with seven kids, blended family, it's creating that generational wealth. It has to be about money. But, you make a good point in being all things money. But I feel like in our community, right, especially with our culture, our background, how we were raised, money was something that was always a crutch, at least in my family, right? It was talked about from a place of lack versus there being so much out here and money being a tool. And so at 40, my mindset about money had to shift because of things that I was taught. And it takes a while to get there. Like, you have to undo all this work. So I want to dive into that a little bit with you, because anybody watching, they're probably wondering, like, how do I get to a place of owning money as a tool, making a lot of money, and being able to manage a big family to leave generational wealth? Because it's something that's thrown around so much, generational wealth, but a lot of people don't even understand what that looks like, right? And if you don't understand what it looks like, some people don't even know how to obtain it. So take us back to when money became a priority for you in your life. What was the changing point, or was it different prior? And were you in the same situation sort of that I was? And what was that process like for you to get to this level? I know it's a lot. It was a mouthful, but
it's okay. It's okay. I can unpack it. I can unpack that. So the first thing was coming from the healthcare industry. I was a nurse 25 years.
okay.
And I also was a hairstylist for 23 years. Both of those careers were amazing careers when it comes to making money, right?
Right.
So if I didn't have a problem with making money, I had a money problem. So when you're trading time for money, that means you're making money. You know how to make it, but if you don't go to work, you don't make money.
Right.
So what happens, what happens between working, making money, trading time for money, and creating wealth? There's a huge gap there.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't know how to close the gap. And I didn't know how to close the gap, right? 25 years, 23 years, that's a lot of time not knowing how to close that gap. The eye opener, my aha moment was 2018. I'm going to say it was the spring of 2018. And I was just scrolling on Instagram and I saw this random lady that popped up on my feed, and it was in the middle of the day. Now, mind you, I'm a nurse working from home as a case manager, glued to my computer, couldn't go anywhere. If I did, I had to take my laptop with me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, she's just randomly talking or casually talking about real estate, and she owned like 33 properties. Wow. And I'm like, what? And then, she was just, I saw it on her face, the freedom that she had. Now, real estate was not on my radar at all. I was tired of nursing. I had retired from doing hair a year prior, but I just didn't know what else I wanted to be when I grew up. And I was in my 40s. Right. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that that look of freedom that she had, that energy that she exuded, I wanted that. So after her live, I Googled her, and I found out that 18 months prior, she'd just been released from prison.
Wow.
And she owned 33 properties, 2 Rolls Royce, all these things. And I'm like, I don't even think I've ever had a speeding ticket. I mean, what's wrong with me? You know, so then that's when I saw the gap. I saw the gap from working for money and having wealth.
Right.
So that's the first thing. You have to see the gap, that there is a gap. And when I saw it, and then I saw what stood out to me, it wasn't that she went to prison. What stood out to me was I never went to prison and I had nothing. That's what stood out to me. I had nothing. And then the next thing was, and I wasn't married at the time. Oh, no. Yeah, I wasn't married at the time. I had 2 children and they were adults. And I thought about, if I died that day, what would I leave them? And you know what the answer was?
What you currently had?
Was nothing. But what I would have left them was the burden to have to go and create a GoFundMe account to bury me.
Right.
And that was the truth of the matter. I own nothing.
Right.
So that's when I said, okay, it's time to close this gap. And I don't have a lot of time to close this gap. So I think about it like this. It would take me, I did it for 25 years and I still was not a millionaire. Right? Because you got to think about I made $1 million over the 25 years, but like 30% of it was going to taxes. Then it was gas, and it was daily living, right? Expenses. It was mortgage. It was this. It was that. Kids needed this. Kids needed that. So at the end of it all, I might have made 25 cents an hour.
Right.
Truth be told, how can you create wealth doing that? You can't. Right. It's impossible. So I started. I said, I want to get into real estate. I swear it's the true story. I'm like, I want to get into real estate because obviously this is something I've never done, and I see the fruits of it. So I want to do that. So that's when I went down this rabbit hole, this real estate rabbit hole. I mean, I got a degree from YouTube University. I got a PhD from Google.
There you go.
I Googled all I could. I YouTube all I could. I paid for a mentor. I just dived in, and I was all things real estate. And I did that for probably 6 months, like everything, all things real estate. I'm all in. And when I started seeing, it was like a snowball effect, like compound interest for real on steroids. I started seeing things just turn around for me financially. And then I said, I got to go teach the other nurses, because if I would have known this 25 years ago, I would be where I am now.
Right.
And then I just created a business, and it was called the Nurse REI Club. Okay. I was teaching nurses how to invest in real estate. And I did that from 2019 until the end of 2022. And until I realized I had a higher calling, and it wasn't just for nurses, but it was for women professionals and women entrepreneurs. So then I just, expanded who I help.
I love that. And when you started out with the real estate, did you start out actually selling homes for other people, or did you start out investing right away?
Girl, I knew I didn't want to be an agent because it's another job, right? I was like, okay, I don't want to leave this job and go to another job. I really wanted to be an investor. So I looked at it, and I took on the investor mindset, but I was broke. So when you're broke, you got to figure out, how can I take what I know or what I learned and create money? Okay. How can I think and grow rich and not work and grow rich?
Right. So talk to me about what you did in that process, because that was my immediate question. Is we went from nothing, right, to learning the skill set, which is extremely important. So if you're watching this, understand what Dr. T. Mack just told you guys. YouTube University and her PhD from Google. You don't need a lot of things to find the information, and then get a mentor. And that's the next key, right? Get a mentor so you can fast track. So going from zero how did you start investing and make this turn in 6 months?
So what I did was I was like I wasn't investing right away because I didn't have any money. So I thought, right? I had all my money went to bills. But what happened was I used my time as my currency. So I couldn't use money. I didn't think I had it. So I used my time. So you can use time, you can use money, you can use relationship as currency. These are different things, right? So that's what I chose. I chose to invest my time and use that as currency. So what I did was I signed up, I joined my local RIA, Real Estate Investment Association, and I was at every single meeting. And I took my notebook and I was writing down everything, and I was writing down everybody's information because I wanted to be able to use relationships as currency as well.
Right.
You got to use what you got. You got to be resourceful, right? So it's being resourceful. So I heard at one of the meetings somebody saying something about a self-directed IRA. Well, I'm a worker bee. I was a worker bee. Worker bees don't know anything about that. We just don't. But I heard it and I wrote it down. Well, as fate would have it, the company that I work for said, we're going to close our doors December the 31st, 2018. So, this is it. And I was like, uh-oh, what am I going to do?
Right.
About a month after that, I got a letter in the mail from a previous employer that said, you've been vested in this company for X amount of years. And I hadn't worked for this company for like 10 years or more. And we're switching retirement companies, and we need to know what you want to do with this money that you have in retirement. And you already know, girl, I thought I was rich.
Listen.
So they gave me some options. They were like,
right.
you can roll it over into a self-directed IRA, or you can go follow us and go to this new plan, or is another plan. And I remember self-directed IRA. I took notes. And I said, I want to roll it over into a self-directed IRA. Girl, I'm in my notebook trying to find that note, self-directed IRA. And I found it. So it was a company that was there presenting at one of the meetings. I reached out to, remember I said I was taking notes, names and numbers.
Yep.
I called the company and said, I have a retirement account that I want to roll over. What do I need to do? They sent me this information. I completed the information, sent it back, replied to the email from that company, rolled over this money. It wasn't a lot of money, okay? I took the money, and then I heard about people needing money for their projects, like rehabbers needing money to rehab their projects. And I said, okay, I'll lend them money from my self-directed IRA account. So that's how I started. I was a private money lender.
Nice.
And I started lending them money. And when I would give them the money and they would pay it back, it would go back into my retirement account.
Okay.
And I'm like, but the gap was closing, but not a lot. Right? I'm like, I'm missing a piece here. So I'm working on the legacy piece, but my job is going to end in a few months. I still need cash flow. And that's what a lot of people get in real estate. They don't understand. They think legacy, generational wealth. You can't get to generational wealth without cash flow. You got to have that first. So I said, okay, I need cash flow. I'm lending money. I got that part. That's working on the legacy play. Now I got to get this cash flow coming in. So I learned how to wholesale real estate, which is one of the best tools you can put in your tool belt.
Okay. Wholesale real estate.
So wholesaling is super simple. It's just like I have a phone here, right? So it's just like buying this phone. Let's say I bought the phone for $100, and then I sold the phone for $200. Then I made what? $100. So it's basically wholesaling. You buy something cheap or get it under contract cheap, and you find somebody to sell it to for more than what you paid for it. Wholesaling.
Done.
And if you can wholesale a phone, you can wholesale real estate. You can wholesale anything. It's the same concept.
I'm looking for those red boots to wholesale. Viral Red Boots said I should have got my hands on that because that was some money in there.
For sure. So the
Yeah.
wholesaling, so I got into wholesaling, and when I got into wholesaling, that was like, $50,000, $30,000 here, 20,000 there, 1,500 here, so it was just different, deals. It's whatever I put in the middle, that was my money, that was my paycheck. So that's what happened. So it's kind of like God, the universe was just connecting the dots for me because I took an initiative, I took the first step, right? I initiated closing the gap. I had to do something.
Right. And you took imperfect action to go sign up for the real estate, go to all these different conferences, and then take notes, right? Because had you not taken that note, who knows if you would have connected those two pieces at the time that you did. It might have came later on down the line because someone else might have mentioned it because this is your journey. This is meant for you. This is where you're supposed to be. So it would have happened eventually. But if you didn't take that imperfect action to say, let me just go out, I'm going to take all these notes, then who knows? So that's amazing. That's beautiful. Kudos to you. Congrats. And then fast forward now, getting into a situation of being the modern day matriarch, and that comes with building the foundation for your household. You are the person that's the champion, you're running it. So you weren't married previously, then you get married, you bring someone else into the fold, more children, more people to introduce to each other. How does that process look for you? And how did that change the trajectory of your business now, having a partner, a life partner that is helping you on this journey and a part of this journey, which I think especially a lot of us women need to see this more and understand that it's not about doing it alone. It's about doing it together with the right person. So talk to us about that a little bit.
For sure. That has been I guess a blessing and a curse for single successful women is being single and successful. I'm just going to be honest. It's a blessing and it's a curse.
Right.
And where the thing that really, really helped me realize that I wanted to have that be on this journey with someone and share this journey was when my children, they're grown and they were gone. They weren't at home, and I was an empty nester for quite a while. And I was like, okay, so what do I do here? Like, what do I do? And, I was just open. I was just open for love. Okay, I'm tired of all these random relationships that I really don't want to be in. I just want the benefits from it, I'm being honest. Right. And that's how I met my husband. I just wanted benefits. And we met on on Tinder. I hadn't been on Tinder not even an hour.
Right.
When I met him. And I was just like, okay, it worked. It just worked. I was open. I was in the right space. I have probably 100 self-help books, right? I've read them all, single, all this stuff and relationships and money and affirmations and vision boards. I did it. I did it all for many, many, many years. It was just time.
Mm-hmm.
It was time. And everybody was like, Tinder. And I'm like, I don't know what Tinder is. Somebody recommended it and I got on it. And an hour later, I meet him and this is the way it happened.
Right.
But so that's how that happened. I have two sons and he has 3 sons and 2 daughters. So we got 7 kids and we just, hey, this is what it is. We started dating, hanging out, enjoying each other. And I had 1 grandson and he had 1 grandson. And we just blended everything and it just worked. It worked because I had my own, he had his own. He's a businessman. I'm, businesswoman. Mm-hmm. We didn't need each other or anything. We just complimented. And then the family, the kids saw it, it just worked.
It worked. That's beautiful. And again, it's necessary. And so I want to talk a little bit about failure because it is something that's extremely important to understand in terms of mindset, that it's necessary. And most times successful people have failed their first, their second, maybe their third business before they even got to the point that they are in now. So what does failure mean to you? And give us an example of a time where you failed and you learned the most from that experience.
I'm going to say I had my first child when I was 13.
Wow.
So
Okay.
let's start there. Let's start there.
Wow.
I was 13 years old. I got pregnant. And my mom, she was a single parent. She had me when she was 16. And my son was like 4 or 5 months old. It was on her birthday, December 5th,
Mm.
1989. And she just looked at me and she was like, I can't do this. I just can't do this. And, I called my grandmother and I was like, my mom's da, 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 da. She was like, let me speak to her. And she got on the phone and my mom didn't say hello. She said, come get her
Mm.
and her son. 10 minutes later, my grandmother came, picked us up. That night, very first night, she got on her knees. She said, let's pray. I'm looking at her like, okay, get on my knees. And the first thing she does is starts praying for my mom and thanking God that my mom made a great decision to allow her to come and take care of me and my son. And then after the prayer, and I'm looking at her while she's praying, like something is wrong. She's praying for the lady that just kicked me out. But after the prayer, she looked at me and she said, you can be and do and have anything you want. And I'm going to make sure that I take care of you and your son until it happens.
Mm.
And I never looked at my life as a failure or the things that happened. I didn't look at it as, oh my God, I failed at this, I failed at that. I just looked at it as, oh, well, this didn't work out the way I thought it was. Let me try something else. That's literally how I maneuver through life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
if it doesn't work out, don't look at it as, oh, I failed at this. Guess what? It didn't work out the way you thought it was, or the way it didn't look the way you wanted it to look. It either can push through it or try something else, but don't stop.
Right.
Because if you stop, you're going to be where you started from.
Right. Wow. 13.
Yeah. My son
Amazing.
is 33. My oldest son is 33. My baby is 26. And I'll be 48 this year.
Look at God. Look at God. Kudos to you. That I cannot imagine being 13, raising a child. Wow. So that's a moment. That's a moment.
She
So
said,
I give you all your flowers. That's because most of the stories we hear in those situations, they don't always turn out that great. And so to be able to fast forward and say, now I have a blended family, I'm taking care of, like, now you're probably looking at your grandchildren like, wow, this was me at a point. Like I had this little thing. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So talk to us about what you do with your coaching program for women right now. Give us a little bit of insight on what that system looks like for you.
oh yeah. So I have an inner circle of women, high entrepreneurs, right? Like, really, really successful entrepreneurs. And they're at the point of their, lives where they're like, okay, I'm making money. I know that there's more that I can make. And I know that if I can just get the right system or get the right mindset around what I'm doing, I could make a lot more in a little bit of time, because that's my thing. I can teach women how to make a whole lot of money in a little bit of time.
Right.
So, but when I make this money, then what do I do with it?
Mm-hmm.
So I take them, show them, look, you can just change this in your business and change that in your business. And then they come and they have 6-figure weeks, they have 6-figure days, they have 6-figure months, and they're just, they do it within like 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And
What's
then,
the common denominator for a problem that, or a pain point for these entrepreneurs in their business that's holding them back? Like, is it like their own mindset? Is it like you said, a system in place in particular? Like, what's that common denominator that you would say is
so,
the most common?
so for the clients that I take on, it's usually a system thing, but a system thing, it comes from a mindset thing.
Mm-hmm.
It always does. So it's like when I say, oh, what do you have going on in your business? And let's say they're like, well, I'm coaching and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I'm like, oh, well, just stop doing that and just focus on one thing. And then when they just stop, first thing they think, and I'm gonna be honest, they're like, well, I already built this. I got a website. I got a logo. I'm like, but that's not making you money.
Right.
So stop doing that and just focus on this one thing, just one thing. Don't worry about anything else. And I had one mentee, she literally did it in 6 days. She sent me a screenshot. She'd done 6 figures.
Wow.
Within 8 months, she made her first million.
And for her, it was just shifting from trying to do
a lot
so
of
many
different
things
things.
to focusing on
One thing.
Okay.
Now, you can do other things, but you need to get your systems in place, and you need to let that thing, if it's running itself and it doesn't need you, then go focus. You can do something else. But you can't be successful and be great at everything at the same time.
Right.
Absolutely. And it's just those little things that I teach, and I'm like, that's it. Just do that one thing, and then you're good. Like, stop. Get rid of this shiny object syndrome. Mm-hmm. Just because somebody has a course or a program, that doesn't mean you have to buy it or be a part of it. Right. If you're working on, let's just say, if you're working on credit, if you're a credit specialist, and then I come to you and I talk about, oh, you can do staffing. Why would you do both and you're struggling with the one? Mm-hmm. Like, know that I'm not going anywhere, and focus on and get a mentor in the credit space to get you where you need to be.
Right. And I think when the pandemic happens and we have so many people who are on their phones more than they've ever been. So they're seeing all these people in their spaces of their own strengths and working, whether it's Turo, it's Airbnb, it's credit repair, it's you name it, right? You're watching other people become successful overnight, right? As we think it's happening. And then they're like, okay, I see the shiny object going on. I want to do that. And it's not their ministry. And I feel like the pandemic caused a lot of people to try things that are just not their ministry and lose that authenticity and completely forget who they are at their core and the things that make them tick. And so, that saying that is so important for people to hear and understand. Do the thing that comes with the least resistance. I remember Ellie Talks Money saying that when I went to one of her seminars. Do the thing that comes with the least resistance and max out on that first, and then take on other opportunities. Because there's nothing like trying to do what someone else is doing and you have no idea and you're just failing time after time after time. Because your spirit will tell you what's for you. That's what I believe.
It's true.
I love that. And that's a great success story, going from where she was in her business to focusing and then making 6 figures in a week, in 6 days.
6 days.
6 days.
Crazy. Yeah.
With the power.
And then, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just with the power of focusing.
Yeah, focus. One thing. Well, I want to sell products, and I want to sell hair, and I want to sell eyelashes, and I want to sell fitness products. I want to do it. What?
Yeah. And I'm a Gemini, so I can relate, because my mind is all over. I'm like, oh, that looks okay. That idea. And that was something I had to go through and really hone in on, is what's the one thing? It's okay to be talented at many different things, but what's the one thing first and like max out? So I love that you say that. So it was a moment for me. That was my deposit for today. So I thank you for that, Dr. T Mac.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So where can the audience find you? And where can they find more information about your program?
Oh, yes. But more than the program, because everybody isn't ready for my program. I have to be honest.
I love it. Go ahead, tell them. Let them
yeah.
hear it.
I'm not for everybody. My inner circle is very expensive. It's an expensive investment because you get great results and transformation and return like really quickly. So that's a whole process. You really have to spend time in my community. Even if I won't even consider you, I'm gonna be honest. You got to spend time in my community, because I need to get to know you. I need you to get to know me. I need you to know my style. I need to know your style. I want you to know the other people in my community that I help. So I have a community of women professionals and women entrepreneurs. So they can go to like, they can text the word community to my number, and then they can get on the wait list, and I can let them in, and I'll give them all the information. So the number is 439 9441. And you can text the word community to 844-439-9441. And then you can get on the wait list to be a part of my community. That's where the action takes place. That's where we get to know one another. That's where all the, transformation on the micro level happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because you can have a 6-figure day and blow it all if you don't have the right mindset.
Right. I love that. And touch on that for me a minute, because like we're talking about closing the gap. That's one part. Closing the gap started with what's the mindset, understanding what the gap is and closing that. But to your piece there, it's important to understand how to keep the money, because there's a lot of people who made the pandemic money and it was gone very quickly. And there was so many other things they could have did. So when we talk about wealth and the money mindset, what is the tip that you would give us to say, absolutely do this, absolutely don't do this to keep the money? You do what you did not do.
Okay, so here's one thing I'm going to tell you. If you're making, let's talk on a micro level. If you make $1,000 a week, let's say you made an extra $1,000 in a month, just an extra 1,000 other than what you do normally. Don't look at that as a win, like, oh, I'm going to go blow this money. Look at that as an opportunity to put that $1,000 to work for you. And repeat whatever you did to get that extra 1,000, do more of that. Mm-hmm. Because that's going to compound. Right? So that's what you do. Whatever you make that's extra, take that and put it to work for you in some type of investment. Whether it's real estate, because you can literally put $1,000 in real estate. Whether it's real estate, whether it's pooling your money together with some of your girlfriends to go buy stocks or buy real estate. Like we pool our money, me and my girlfriends, I call them my rich friends. We pool our money together. We buy when Bitcoin was doing its thing, we bought whole Bitcoin. We bought properties. We lend money out. We do all types of money, but we pool our money together. So if you have an extra $1,000, get with 4 of your other girlfriends and y'all pool $5,000 together and make some type of investment.
Pool money to make an investment. I love that. And we need to do more of that.
For sure. And a lot of people say, well, I don't have 5 friends. Guess what? Then you need to get out of that circle. If you don't have 5 friends that have $1,000 or $500, you're in the wrong circle.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's how some of these other communities really create their generational wealth, is they keep it in house.
We do. We do.
You have to do.
We do. We put our money together and we make it rain. We do. We become the bank. We loan each other our money within our community. We do it all. We don't go outside to the bank and ask them for money. Like we had one person, she said, I need $30K to sit in my account for X amount of time. We said, okay, cool. Sign this contract and we'll loan you the money. And we did. And the money sit in her account and she'll pay us back interest and we'll just keep rinsing and repeating.
There you go. Y'all heard it here first on the Imperfect Action Show from Dr. T-Mac. Get with your circle. Make sure you are investing in building generational wealth with each other, with your team of people that are directly around you. And if they're not the people that you can do this with, think about your circle and think about changing what you want to do for the rest of 2023. The year has just started, y'all. Most people right now, February, they're realigning their goals. They're looking at January's goals and saying, what can I do differently? So now's the time to take imperfect action. You heard it. You don't need money to get into real estate investing. You just need to be in the right mindset, the right mind frame. Get on YouTube University, get your PhD from Google, and go out there and take imperfect action to get the information that you need to make the changes today for your business that'll take you to the next level. That was good. That was a good moment for the heart. So I appreciate you so much, Dr. T-Mac, for being here. Again, let everybody know where they can find you on social media or a website. We did put the text number in the chat. So text community to 844-439-9441 to get on the waiting list and get more information about her community, because y'all, you got to come correct to get up in there, but you're going to get some valuable information if you're approved.
For sure. Yes. Instagram, Dr. T Mac, I think T Mac _inspired, something like that. I ain't into all the handles and the things, but yeah, T Mac _inspired. YouTube, same thing. I do have a podcast, T Mac Inspire Show. So y'all can, I'm on whatever, Apple, Google, all those things, the listening things, and the YouTube.
You're like, I show up. I got a team to do the things. I show up and I put. I love it. I love it.
Yes, I show up. But yeah, so thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. That was amazing, y'all. Make sure you tune in for the next episode of the Imperfect Action Show. Again, this is where we talk to 6, 7, 8-figure earners about how they take imperfect action in their businesses to get to the level that they're in now. So we'll see you on the next show. Have an amazing week. Happy Monday. We'll see y'all soon.